Alright guys, I came out and I'm at the property. We went out and put some food out for the baby deer that's by himself out there. I recorded quite a bit and get back to the car and yeah. Anyway, I don't have any of the footage at all. Camera messed up on me. So we're trying it again. Fixing to do the articles. But I'm going to show you this view, but from up there. So I'm going to get the camera up there. I've got the wireless microphone. I'm going to go back to where the van is, which is back over there, and I'm going to do the articles from there so we're not getting any wind noise. So let me get this set up. All right, guys, I'm going to climb down and head over to the van. This stand is 14 foot to the platform, but where the camera's mounted, you're about 17 foot. It's mounted on the gun rail. So, I'm gonna get over here and get these articles, and we're gonna share a few. Come on, buddy, don't step on the cactus. You had to put food out. We got a baby deer. I told this story when I recorded earlier, but it did not go through. I lost all my footage. Having memory card issues is what it is. It's not camera issues, just memory card. Come on, Petey, you come up here. So anyway, hope this works. But anyhow, there's a baby deer. It was a twin. Him, his mama, and his sibling. It was two little bucks and a mama. One day the mama and the sibling just disappeared. And I think somebody harvested the mother and possibly the baby. Or they harvested mama and a predator like a coyote got the baby. But only one's left. He's been coming in 3 weeks by himself. The other does that come in here with babies, they will not accept him. They attack him and run him off. And I sat in there 4 different times and actually watched when he came in. Twice I seen the does attack him. And I got really angry over that because he is little. He's got spots. His spots are turning into bars, which when they hit bars, they can survive without mama, as long as predators don't intervene. But anyhow, I'll add a picture. I'll put a picture of him so you guys can see him, because he is so pretty. He's such a cute little thing. All right, let's see. I am going to, I don't have these in order, so I'm going back. I guess we'll start here. Oh, this has photos. This has a lot of photos. We'll save that one. We don't want to. I'm not going to do the ones with a lot of photos because kind of hard to show them right now. All right, guys. This article, and all these articles come from our brother Don Moore. So all thanks to Brother Don for sending these out to us. Absolutely appreciate it. We couldn't be doing this without him. So please, you see Don Moore in the chat, just say hey to him, send him a thank you, and just let him know how much we appreciate what he's doing. A lot of effort goes into this. Most of the stuff he is getting from different, he's hearing it, audio files or from different places, and he's having to listen to it and write it by hand. Stop, Petey, stop. I'm sorry, he keeps trying to climb up on me. He'll write them down by hand, and then he'll put them to text and print them. He's putting a lot of work into this. But anyhow, thank you, Brother Don. I love you, man. Thank you so much for what you're doing. We absolutely appreciate it, and I believe I can say that confidently, that many of us here definitely appreciate your work. But here we go. This one's titled The Vampire-Like Entity and Other High Strangeness of Mineral Point, Wisconsin. The year is the mid-1800s up to the year 2008. The location is Mineral Point and Ridgeway, Wisconsin, Iowa County. The information source for this article is eyewitness testimony, including police eyewitnesses, police reports, and historical accounts. The preface. The preface reads, Mineral Point is an old Cornish mining settlement set amidst the driftless region of southwest Wisconsin. The place is loaded with history and early 19th century lore. A vampire has stalked the people of Mineral Point for many years, and it would seem like a mere urban legend if it wasn't for the credible witnesses who have encountered it. There's no way of conclusively knowing when the undead creature moved into town, but reports date back to 1981. There was even a proposed piece of legislation seeking to make vampirism illegal. One would think this would have been the cause of the police or politicians thinking it was a man pretending to be a vampire, or thinking he actually was one. Or perhaps it was though a vampire cult existed in the area. What this figure actually was is far more bizarre and paranormal. The Mineral Point vampire disappears for long periods of time, but when he has reappeared, it's mostly been in the Graceland Cemetery. Witness reports indicate at least 3 real-life vampire sightings between 1981 and 2008. In each case, police officers responded to resident complaints that uncovered evidence that the vampire really exists. The city is also home to the Ridgeway Phantom and the haunted Walker House, in addition to the Mineral Point vampire. Of note, the description of the vampire remains consistent from sighting to sighting. One thing that suggests urban legend rather than fact is the consistent changing and evolving of the story over time, but such is not the case here. Each witness during the vampire's 3 periods of activity provides a very consistent description of the undead creature. Considering the 23-year gap between the first and second sightings, it seems highly unlikely that this was a case of one story influencing another. Instead, the description of a tall, thin, pale, and imposing caped figure remains the same. Each witness also remarked that what they saw seemed like a vampire. It begins, the 1981 encounters. On the evening of March 14, 1981, police responded to reports of a strange man lurking in Graceland Cemetery. At the cemetery, Officer John Pepper approached a tall, pale, darkly clad figure who he reported was a huge person wearing a black cape with a white painted face about 6 feet 5 inches tall and ugly. When Pepper asked the figure what it was doing, it turned and ran. The officer followed. The chase ended when the pale man leapt over a 6-foot fence at the edge of the cemetery into an adjacent cow pasture where Angus bulls were grazing in the field. Officer Pepper wisely did not follow and ended the chase. The next morning, Officer Pepper filed a report, and with a few other officers returning to the cemetery to look for evidence, they found snowy footprints leading to the fence, but there was nothing on the other side. This caused the officers to believe it was a ruse, and they dropped the case. The city was abuzz with vampire fever. Over the next 2 weeks until April 1st, the police were inundated with sightings of lurking vampire-like figures. It didn't help that some inspired locals showed up at local bars dressed like vampires. The 2004 encounter. 23 years later, on March 24, 2004, police responded to reports of a dark-clad, pale individual sitting in a tree outside an apartment complex heckling tenants. It's not clear whether this figure attacked anyone or not. When the police arrived, the somewhat familiar individual fled. An officer followed, but quickly lost sight of the fast-moving individual. There were tracks in the snow. The police followed the tracks to a 10-foot concrete wall where they ended, which was eerily similar to the 1981 sighting. It was like the individual just flew away. The 2008 encounter, the last and most frightening. A little over 4 years later, on July 11, 2008, around 10 p.m., Mineral Point residents, 22-year-old Brandon Heinz and his girlfriend, 19-year-old Jamie Marker, were fishing off the jetty on the far west shore of Ludden Lake when the couple heard noises coming from under the jetty. The noises were described as sounding like something was using the boards of the jetty like a ladder climbing along underneath us. Hines began stomping the boards, thinking it was some kind of animal and hoping to scare it away. He aimed his flashlight between the cracks of the boards when he and Merker heard water splashing down towards the other side of the jetty. Hines shone his flashlight towards the sound to see a figure with dark hair and a very pale pulling itself up onto the jetty. Hines and Marker stood in horror as the figure began to rise to its feet. Marker turned and ran up the path towards Hines' vehicle as Hines kept his flashlight aimed at the figure. It was wearing some kind of Dracula-looking cape and a suit. Sort of, Hines stated. His girlfriend claimed the same. Hines threw his flashlight towards the figure and ran up the path after Marker, who was already in the vehicle, with the doors locked. As Hines started the vehicle and began leaving, Marker saw out the passenger window that the figure was coming up the path at a run, and she screamed for Hines to hurry. The couple drove to the Mineral Point Police Department and made a statement directly after that. A patrol unit in the area of Ludden Lake investigated the area where Hines and Marker had been, but found no one. Hines and Marker returned the next day to retrieve their belongings, with everything accounted for except for Hines' flashlight. Whoever it is, they can keep it, Hines said. Other high strangeness. The Ridgeway Phantom. The Ridgeway Phantom is yet another odd paranormal entity that Mineral Point residents have encountered. This specific ghost spent much of the mid-1800s haunting Ridgeway in Mineral Point. If early accounts are reliable, the Ridgeway Phantom took on several shapes to terrify people, ranging from a ball of fire to a headless man. Fear of the Phantom became so rampant that citizens requested armed escorts before leaving their homes after sunset. This legend seems to trace its roots to the 1840 murder of two local brothers. The Haunted Walker House. The Mineral Point vampire isn't the only paranormal entity that calls this Wisconsin town home. The current owners of the historical Walker House claim there are no ghosts in the building. However, many who visited or worked at the house before it changed hands dispute these claims. In fact, one time, property manager of the house, Walker Calvert, had numerous spectral encounters, including one with a headless man in 1981. Some believe all this paranormal activity dates back to the 1842 public execution of murderer William Caffey, which took place at the Walker House. Now, population decline in Mineral Point. The population of Mineral Point hit an all-time high in 1870 at 3,275 people. Shortly thereafter, people started moving out. The timing of this seems closely linked to the Ridgeway Phantom. In fact, there wasn't any type of rebound until 1900, but this was temporary. As rumors about ghosts at the Walker House began to circulate, Mineral Point's population sharply declined. The town's lowest point at 1980 found approximately 1,000 fewer people living in Mineral Point than in 1870. Is it coincidence that the town began to empty out after the Phantom, the Walker House ghost, and the vampire appeared? We may never know for sure, but it certainly seems like paranormal causes are a viable possibility. A werewolf sighting in 1987. In Linda S. Godfrey's book, Hunting the American Werewolf, Beast Men in Wisconsin and Beyond, she says a woman who only went by the name Kim contacted her in 2004 about a 1987 werewolf sighting in Mineral Point. Kim says that in the middle of a spring afternoon in 1987, just before the full moon, she saw a werewolf running as it was transforming. She says the creature sprinted into a building, clutched the railing, and turned back into its human form. She said a group of about 15 to 20 other people also witnessed the incident, although Linda Godfrey couldn't corroborate Kim's story with any additional sources. A Bright Light in 1986. In J. Rath's book, The W Files, he writes that in 1986, a local sheriff, as well as several residents, witnessed a bright light over Mineral Point. The light appeared to be motionless, but then took off at a high speed, soundlessly. This would seem to indicate Mineral Point is a hotspot for paranormal activity. In conclusion, vampires, werewolves, UFOs, phantoms, ghosts, Mineral Point and Ridgeway, Wisconsin surely fit the bill for high strangeness and paranormal activity. Of interest, recent researchers on this vampire-like figure that it was last seen in 2008 came to the conclusion that it was not human and certainly not a person dressed in Dracula-like clothing. The conclusion was that it was a paranormal entity that simply could not be caught by police, who gave chase on multiple occasions. Though it seems this entity never attacked anyone, or so it's understood, the last encounter at Ludden Lake in 2008 did prove to be the most unnerving, with the vampire-like entity crawling up underneath the lake jetty, standing up and then chasing a young couple back to the safety of their car, in which they barely made it. In this case, the flashlight seemed to be the figure's worst enemy, because after the couple fled in their car, the creature took the flashlight. It's understandable why the population declined with all this activity through the years. What is it about this location that attracts the paranormal? And then there's a few photos of the area, and we'll most likely be sharing the photos with you guys on a live show, or when I can film that. I have my tripod, some way to mount the camera that I can show you. All right, now we're going to, okay, that's, I think that's got, okay, this is a short one, but this one happened in my neck of the woods. Petey, come on, buddy, come. I'm sorry, Petey he ran off on me. All right, but we're going to do this one, because this one is close to... Get down, buddy. Get down now. Look at what you did. Doggone it. He hopped up on my notebook, and now there's muddy dog prints all over the papers. Petey. No, stay down. I'm sorry, guys. I can't stop the recorder to reprimand him because it's mounted 20 foot up a tree. All right. This one is titled Florida Tourists See a Dogman Eating a Deer Near Tallahassee. The date is unknown, but it's been in recent years. The location is Tallahassee, Florida, which is Leon County, on US 27 south off of Interstate I-10. The information source is multiple eyewitness testimony. I'm sharing this story in hopes of someone else having another one, and then I will have this one out in the open. I was traveling west on Interstate I-10, coming from the west coast of the U.S. to the south coast of Florida. I was with my 6 kids and pulling a trailer with all of my belongings and 3 dogs in it. It was a big SUV, and it was around 2 a.m. The kids were all asleep, and my 13-year-old daughter was in the passenger seat to make sure I stayed awake. We had been traveling Interstate I-10 for 3 days, and I had decided when we reached Florida to cut through the state using rural secondary highways and roads to save some time instead of driving the main interstates. We got off Interstate 10 on US 27 south in hopes of getting gas and making up some time. The first little gas station we came to was closed, and I got nervous because we needed gas. So we continued on, and we were now in the Appalachia Regional Park area. I'm guessing this was the area, as I don't remember exactly. And I told my daughter to keep an eye out for deer crossing the deserted highway, because hitting a deer could kill us all by turning us over due to the trailer we were pulling. We were going about 45 miles an hour, and I remember this so clearly like it was yesterday, though it's been 3 years ago. We had our bright lights on due to the road being dark and winding. There were a few houses, but not many. As we came around a corner, we saw a lot of fresh blood on the road. On the side of the road was a 6 or 7 foot tall creature. It was on its hind legs, hunched over a dead deer, eating it. It did not look up at us, even when my headlights hit it. It was using its arms like a human eating the deer. It had a very muscular body, pointed ears, and a long muzzle. If you ever saw a werewolf, this was it. It had a skinnier lower body, and it used its arms and hands just like a human. If it had looked up, I would have died. I looked over at my daughter, and we were both seeing the same creature at the same time. Tears came up in my eyes instantly, and at that time we both said, werewolf. I sped up because I was so scared it would run and jump on the trailer and kill my dogs. As we got about a mile away, my heart was beating so hard. My daughter and I were so freaked out. It was a werewolf. I have never been a believer in werewolves, and I don't watch werewolf movies or have any reason to make this up. As a matter of fact, until now, I have only told a handful of people about this. There are werewolves in Florida. I'm not sure of the exact town or location along US 27, but it was definitely between Alabama to Florida in the Panhandle. I wish I could remember so I could find out if we were the only ones who have seen this thing. I will live my wondering this, and I guess it means I will live my life wondering this and will never forget that night ever. US 27. Wow. I was on US 27 not too long ago. And yes, for those that don't know, there are definitely them werewolf-type creatures here. Jeff Townsend and I both seen one night, ran into it, and that wasn't far from my home. It wasn't far at all. It was 3 miles as a crow flies. Very close. All right, guys, let me find this other one. I don't know if I think that one's long. Yeah, we're gonna do that on a live show. Yeah, we're gonna do these others on a show. I think it would be best because there are pictures with them, and I'd like to be able to show you guys the pictures. I don't know if my camera's still recording. If it's not, then we're gonna have to do this all over again on a show. I'm having problems with memory cards in my GoPros. As you know, I mainly film with a GoPro. I'm trying to find a small camera, approximately the size of a GoPro, something I can mount on the scope of my muzzleloader to film my hunts. If any of you have any suggestions or recommendations for a small camera, I'm not looking for a $700 or $800 camera. I'm not looking for something like that. I need something I can afford. Something rather inexpensive, but films in good, decent quality that hopefully has a zoom where we can zoom in and be able to actually see what's out in front of the camera. Guys, I don't know if this thing's going to pick up this far. I'm just walking through over here. I just want to look real quick. But anyhow, if you have any recommendations on a camera, something that would work, that I could zoom in, that would be small, that I could mount on the rifle scope of my muzzleloader, or mount on a chest mount, or something of the sort. Send me an email and let me know, please, if you don't mind. I'm certainly very interested. I can use a firm. With a firm, if you're not familiar with it, it is sort of like a loan thing. You can shop on Amazon, on just about any store online, and you can purchase items. You can use it at walmart.com. But there you apply, they tell you how much you're approved for, and then each month you make a payment to them, and you can choose your payment. If you want to make a payment every week, every 2 weeks, every month, you can choose when and how to pay. You can set it up to where you're paying 3 years for it, or you can set it up to pay it off in 3 months. Very flexible. I've used a firm many times. I've actually got 2 small accounts right now with a firm, from some items that I ordered that I needed and I just couldn't afford. We struggle, we barely get by, and without the help of Kim's family, we would have been in a pickle here last year. But thank God for the little places like Affirm. I like Affirm. I've used them 5 times now, and it's been a good experience every time. I've had no issues whatsoever, no trouble, they haven't tried to rip me off. It's been nothing but a pleasurable experience. But if I can find me a camera, I'll probably use the Affirm to pay for it, and then just set it up to where I'm making like $30 payments each month. I just got to pay off my other 2 Affirm loans right now. One of them I'm paying $15. Well, the payment is $15 a month. The other one is $28 a month. And I'm sending $30 to the $15 a month one, and I'm sending $45 to the other one, so I can pay it off a little early. But anyhow, I'm going to get out of here. We will definitely be doing a live show very soon. Very, very soon. Possibly even tonight. I got to get home and see what's going on, see what the plans are. Thanksgiving's coming up, so there's a lot of cooking ahead of time, a lot of other stuff that Kim's doing. So that's going to kind of determine when I'm going to be able to set up for the show. But I'll be seeing you guys soon. Y'all have a fantastic weekend. Be blessed in all you do. Be kind and be safe. If there's something I can do for you at all, please reach out to me. My email is standinggoatsrescue@yahoo.com. And I will most definitely be seeing you very soon. I love you guys. God bless you. Take care. I'm having to climb the ladder to get the camera down. I'm getting there. Golly. Okay. Let's see if I can get it off. Yeah, it's still recording. All right. Now I got to try to get down. It was a little easier coming up it. Petey. Oh, the battery's almost dead. Oh. My nose is getting plugged up. Hay fever from different plants out here. You ready to go, buddy? Well, come on. Let's go get in the heat. Yes, it's cold out here and wet. It's rained all day yesterday and this morning. It's finally out of here, but I mean, you can see how gray and overcast everything is. Y'all have a good day. And if I don't see you by Thanksgiving, I will be doing a show before then. But if for some reason you're not able to catch us on the live show, have a fantastic Thanksgiving. I hope this is the best Thanksgiving that you have ever had. And I hope just, the time you spend with your family and friends is one that'll be in your memories for the remaining days of your lives. I love each and every one of you. We'll be seeing you all very soon. Save some turkey for me. I'm coming.